The rain hammered against the metal walls of Marcus Chen's apartment on Station 7. He was just settling down with his evening meal when the door chime echoed through his living quarters. Marcus frowned. Nobody visited him anymore, not since the war ended 3 years ago. He opened the door to find 2 Galactic Council officials in their pristine white uniforms. Between them stood a woman. She was human, but something about her seemed different. Her skin had a faint shimmer like starlight caught beneath the surface. Her eyes held flecks of gold that seemed to move and swirl. "Marcus Chen?" the taller official asked, checking his datapad. "Yes?" Marcus kept his voice steady, though his military instincts were already on high alert. "This is Lyra. She has been assigned to your care under Protocol 779. The official thrust a thick folder into Marcus's hands. "Everything you need to know is in there. Good luck." Before Marcus could protest, the officials turned and marched away. Lyra stood there, silent, carrying only a small bag. Her clothes were simple but clean. She looked tired, like someone who had traveled across many star systems. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I know this must be confusing." Marcus stepped aside. "Come in. We'll figure this out." As Lyra entered his apartment, Marcus quickly scanned the documents. His eyes widened as he read. Lyra was listed as a hybrid asset, the child of a human and an alien species called the Ashanti. The papers claimed she was his wife, though he had never seen her before in his life. But what caught his attention most was the stamp at the bottom, Dirty Heritage Program. Marcus knew about this program. After humanity joined the Galactic Council, some humans had married aliens. Their children were often rejected by both societies. The Council's solution was to assign them to former soldiers as rehabilitation partners. "This is wrong," Marcus said, looking up from the papers. "I never agreed to any marriage. And calling anyone dirty heritage is disgusting." Lyra sat carefully on the edge of his couch. "The marriage contract was arranged by the Council. They said you volunteered for the program during your service." Marcus thought back to his military days. He remembered signing countless forms, told they were for veterans' benefits. Had he unknowingly agreed to this? "Even if I did sign something, you're not property to be assigned," Marcus said firmly. "You're a person." Lyra's golden eyes studied him. "Most humans don't see it that way. My mother was Ashanti. They're telepathic. I inherited some of her abilities. It makes people uncomfortable." "Can you read my mind?" Marcus asked. "Not exactly. I can sense emotions, sometimes catch surface thoughts if they're very strong. Right now, I can feel your confusion and anger. But also," she paused, "kindness. You're not angry at me." Marcus ran a hand through his hair. "I'm angry at the system. Look, I have a spare room. You can stay there while we figure out how to fight this. I know some lawyers who might help." "You would do that? But the contract says—" "I don't care what the contract says. You deserve choice and dignity." Marcus stood up. "Are you hungry?" "I was about to eat dinner." For the first time, Lyra smiled slightly. "I haven't eaten in 2 days. The transport ship didn't serve food to assets." Marcus felt his anger flare again, but not at her. At the system that treated people like cargo. "Come on, I'll heat up some food. Real food, not those protein packets they probably gave you." As they moved to the kitchen, Marcus noticed how Lyra walked, carefully, as if expecting the floor to disappear. He wondered how many times she had been moved, shuffled from place to place like an unwanted package. While the food heated, Lyra spoke quietly. "My mother died when I was young. My father tried to raise me, but a human with a half-Ashanti daughter. It was hard. When he died last year, I had no one. The council said this program was my only option." "There are always options," Marcus said firmly. "We just have to find them." They ate in companionable silence. Marcus noticed how Lyra savored each bite, as if she hadn't had a proper meal in months. Maybe she hadn't. "The spare room is down the hall," Marcus said after dinner. "It's not much, but it's private. There's a lock on the inside of the door." Lyra's eyes widened. "A lock I control?" "Of course. Your room, your rules." Marcus gathered the dishes. "We'll go to the legal aid office tomorrow. See what can be done about this contract." As Lyra stood to go to her room, she paused. "Marcus, thank you. Most people would have just accepted the situation." "I'm not most people," Marcus replied. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we start fighting back." That night, Marcus lay awake thinking. The Galactic Council preached equality and unity, but their treatment of mixed heritage individuals told a different story. He had fought in the war to protect humanity's place among the stars. He hadn't realized the battle for true equality was just beginning. In the morning, Marcus woke to find Lyra already up, sitting by the window watching the stars. The morning light caught her skin's shimmer, making her look almost ethereal. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked, joining her with 2 cups of coffee. "I'm used to watching for danger," she admitted. "It's hard to believe I'm actually safe." "You are safe," Marcus assured her. "I promise you that." Lyra accepted the coffee gratefully. "I can sense you mean that. It's unusual. Most humans are afraid of what I am." "Fear comes from ignorance," Marcus said. "My grandmother used to say that humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our determination. It was our ability to see potential friends where others saw enemies." "She sounds wise." "She was. She would have liked you." Marcus sipped his coffee. "So, tell me about the Ashanti. Not what the council propaganda says? The truth." Lyra's face lit up as she spoke about her mother's people. The Ashanti were an ancient race, evolved on a planet where thoughts and emotions carried as much weight as spoken words. They formed deep bonds with those they trusted, connections that transcended simple friendship. "That's why the council fears us," Lyra explained. "Ashanti human children can form these bonds with multiple species. We could unite different races in ways that threaten their careful power structures." Marcus began to understand. The Dirty Heritage program wasn't about rehabilitation. It was about control. Keep the hybrids isolated, dependent, unable to realize their potential. "We're definitely going to that lawyer," Marcus said with determination. They spent the day navigating Station 7's bureaucracy. The legal aid office was crowded with beings from dozens of worlds, all seeking help with various injustices. When their turn came, the lawyer, a tired-looking human woman named Janet, reviewed their case with growing concern. "This contract is ironclad," Janet said finally. "The council's marriage assignments are nearly impossible to break, but," she leaned forward, "there might be a loophole. If you can prove the marriage is harmful to either party's well-being, you might have a case." "It's harmful to force people together," Marcus argued. "I agree, but the council doesn't see it that way. You need documented evidence. Medical reports, psychological evaluations, and even then, it's a long shot." Janet handed them a list of required documents. "Start gathering these. I'll file the initial petition." As they left the office, Lyra was quiet. Marcus could sense her despair, even without telepathic abilities. "Hey," he said gently, "this isn't over. We'll find a way." "What if we don't?" Lyra asked. "What if I'm stuck in this contract forever?" Marcus stopped walking and faced her. "Then we make the best of it. But not as owner and property, as friends, as equals. The council can force us to share living space, but they can't force us to follow their script." Lyra's golden eyes searched his face. "You really mean that?" "I do. Look, I know we just met, but I want you to know something. Whatever happens with this legal fight, you have a home with me as long as you need it. No expectations, no demands, just a safe place to be yourself. For the first time since arriving, Lyra's smile was genuine and warm. I think I'm beginning to understand why the council matched us. Not because they thought you'd control me, but because they didn't realize someone like you existed. Someone who would help me fight. Then they made a big mistake, Marcus grinned. I was pretty good at fighting their battles. Let's see how they like it when I fight against them. As they walked back to the apartment, Marcus noticed other humans giving them strange looks. Some were curious, others hostile. He moved closer to Lyra, a protective instinct rising in him. Does that happen often? He asked. The stares? Every day, Lyra admitted. You'll get used to it. Or maybe you won't want to be seen with me. Stop that, Marcus interrupted. I don't care what they think. Let them stare. That evening, as they prepared dinner together, Marcus realized something had shifted. The awkwardness of the morning was gone, replaced by an easy companionship. Lyra laughed at his terrible jokes, and he found himself enjoying her quiet observations about life on the station. You know, Lyra said as they cleaned up, this is the first time in years I've felt normal, like I could just be myself without apology. You never have to apologize for who you are, Marcus said firmly. Not to me, not to anyone. 3 weeks passed, and life settled into a routine. Marcus worked his job at the station's engineering department while Lyra began taking translation work, using her unique ability to sense meaning beyond words. They gathered documents for their legal case, but progress was slow. One evening, Marcus came home to find the apartment dark. His military instincts kicked in immediately. Something was wrong. Lyra, he called out. He found her in her room, curled up on the bed, shaking. Her skin's usual shimmer was dim, flickering like a dying star. What happened? Marcus knelt beside the bed, careful not to touch her without permission. They came today, she whispered. Council inspectors. They said I wasn't performing my duties as a wife. That I was in violation of the contract. Marcus felt rage build in his chest. What duties? Did they hurt you? Not physically, but they... Lyra's voice broke. They said if I don't start acting like a proper wife, they'll reassign me to someone who will make me understand my place. Over my dead body, Marcus growled. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Lyra, look at me. She turned, tears streaming down her face. The golden flecks in her eyes were swirling rapidly, a sign of distress he'd learned to recognize. You're not going anywhere, Marcus said firmly. I don't care what they threaten. We're in this together now. But the contract... Forget the contract. Tomorrow we go back to Janet. There has to be something more we can do. Lyra sat up slowly. Marcus, I need to tell you something. About my abilities. They're stronger than I let on. Marcus settled beside her, maintaining respectful distance. I'm listening. The Ashanti can form bonds. Deep, permanent connections with others. It's why the Council fears us. These bonds can share strength, enhance abilities, even transfer knowledge. She paused. I've been holding back, afraid to let you see what I really am. But if they're going to force the issue... What are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's time to stop hiding, to show them what a human Ashanti hybrid can really do when she's not being crushed by their system. Lyra's shimmer grew brighter. But I'd need help. A partner. Someone I trust. Marcus didn't hesitate. You have one. Whatever you need. The next morning, they visited Janet with new determination. The lawyer was surprised to see them. I've been doing research, Janet said before they could speak. There's precedent. 50 years ago, a human Zentari hybrid challenged the program. She lost, but the case files mention something interesting. The Council's own charter guarantees all sapient beings the right to form consensual bonds according to their species' nature. What does that mean for us? Marcus asked. It means, Janet leaned forward excitedly, that forcing Lyra to conform to purely human marriage customs might violate her rights as an Ashanti hybrid. We could argue that the contract itself is discriminatory. There's more, Lyra said quietly. The inspectors who came yesterday. They threatened me, tried to make me sign additional agreements. I recorded everything. Janet's eyes lit up. That's harassment. Combined with the discrimination angle, we might actually have a case. But Lyra, challenging the council like this could make you a target. I already am a target, Lyra replied. At least this way I'm fighting back. They spent the next hour planning strategy. Janet would file an expanded petition, including charges of discrimination and harassment. It would take time, but she was optimistic. As they left the office, Marcus noticed Lyra walking taller, her shimmer brighter than he'd ever seen it. You look different, he observed. I feel different, like I'm finally doing something instead of just enduring. She paused. Marcus, what I said yesterday about forming a bond, I should explain more. They found a quiet spot in the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Lyra took a breath before continuing. Ashanti bonds aren't romantic or sexual by nature. They're deeper than that. It's a sharing of essence, of strength. Partners in battle often formed these bonds. So did teachers and students, parents and children. She turned to face him. What I'm offering is partnership in the truest sense, but it's permanent. Once formed, the bond can't be broken. Marcus considered carefully. What would it mean? Practically speaking, we'd be able to sense each other's emotions more clearly. In times of need, we could share strength. And, she hesitated, the council would have a much harder time separating us. Bonded pairs are protected under ancient laws even they can't ignore. But I'm just human. Can I even form such a bond? Lyra smiled. Humans are more capable than you know. Your species' ability to pack bond with anything is legendary among the Ashanti. My mother used to say humans were the only race that could match Ashanti in forming deep connections. Marcus looked out at the stars, thinking. Everything logical said this was moving too fast. But nothing about their situation was logical, and in the weeks since Lyra's arrival, she'd become important to him, not as a responsibility or obligation, but as a friend, maybe something more. Would you want to, he asked, form this bond with me? Not because of the contract or the legal benefits, but because you want to? Lyra's answer came without hesitation. Yes. You're the first person in years who's seen me as more than my heritage, who's fought for me instead of against me. I trust you, Marcus Chen, completely. Then yes, Marcus said simply. Tell me what I need to do. The bonding ceremony was simple. In the privacy of their apartment that evening, Lyra guided Marcus through meditation exercises that quieted his mind. She placed her hands on his temples, her shimmer growing until it enveloped them both. Marcus felt it the moment the bond formed. Like a door opening in his mind, revealing a connection he'd never known was possible. He could feel Lyra's presence, warm and bright. But more than that, he could feel her emotions. Years of loneliness and fear giving way to hope and joy. Oh, he breathed. This is... I know, Lyra whispered. Through the bond, he felt her amazement, too. It's stronger than I expected. Human compatibility with Ashanti bonds is remarkable. They sat in silence, adjusting to the new connection. Marcus found he could dial it back, like turning down volume, giving them both privacy while maintaining the underlying link. Thank you, Lyra said finally, for trusting me with this. Thank you for trusting me, Marcus replied. So what happens now? Lyra grinned, and mischief danced in her golden eyes. Now we show the council what they've really created. a human Ashanti hybrid with a bonded partner. They wanted to control us. Instead, they've given us the tools to fight their entire system. The next few days brought changes. Marcus found his own capabilities enhanced. His reaction times were faster, his intuition sharper. At work, he solved engineering problems that had stumped him for weeks. Lyra, drawing on his strength and stability, grew more confident. Her translation work improved dramatically as she could better sense the intent behind words. But the real test came when the council inspectors returned. There were 3 of them this time, including a high-ranking official Marcus recognized from news broadcasts. Commander Threk, a Gorvani known for his harsh enforcement of council regulations. "We've received your legal petition," Threk announced, his 4 arms crossed in displeasure. "It is frivolous and will be denied. Furthermore, we have reports that you are not fulfilling your contractual obligations." "Which obligations would those be?" Marcus asked calmly. Through the bond, he sent Lyra reassurance. "The female is not performing wifely duties. She maintains separate sleeping quarters. There is no evidence of proper marital relations." "Because marriage means different things to different species," Lyra spoke up. "I'm half Ashanti. We bond differently than humans." Threk's scales darkened, a sign of anger. "You are legally human under council law. You will conform to human customs." "Actually," Marcus interjected, "she's legally recognized as a hybrid. Check your own database. And as a hybrid, she has rights under the Species Diversity Protection Act." "Furthermore," Lyra added, her shimmer brightening with confidence, "Marcus and I have formed an Ashanti life bond. Under Section 15 of the Galactic Charter, bonded pairs cannot be separated by administrative action." The inspectors exchanged glances. This was clearly not what they'd expected. "Impossible," Threk sputtered. "Humans cannot form Ashanti bonds." "Would you like to test that theory?" Marcus asked. He reached out and took Lyra's hand. The moment they touched, their combined shimmer filled the room with light. The inspectors stepped back. Even through his aggression, Threk looked uncertain. "This changes nothing," he said finally. "The contract stands. You will fulfill all requirements or face consequences." "We look forward to arguing that in court," Lyra said sweetly. "Our lawyer has found numerous violations of council law in how this contract was created and enforced. Would you like to add harassment and threats to that list?" Threk's scales darkened further, but he said nothing more. The inspectors left without another word. As the door closed, Lyra sagged against Marcus. Through their bond, he felt her exhaustion. Confrontation went against her gentle nature, but she'd stood firm. "You were amazing," Marcus said, guiding her to the couch. "We were amazing," she corrected. "I couldn't have done that without you, without knowing you were there, supporting me." They sat together, processing what had happened. The battle was far from over, but they'd won this round. "Marcus," Lyra said quietly, "I need to tell you something. Through the bond, I can feel how you see me. Not as a burden or an obligation, but as worthy, valuable. Do you know how long it's been since anyone saw me that way?" "You are worthy," Marcus said firmly. "Worthy of respect, of choice, of freedom. Anyone who can't see that is blind." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. "I think I'm beginning to understand why humans are so feared by the established order. You don't just adapt. You elevate everyone around you, make them believe they can be more." "Maybe that's our real dirty heritage," Marcus said with a wry smile. "We contaminate others with dangerous ideas like equality and self-determination." That night, as they prepared for bed in their separate rooms, Marcus felt a shift in the bond. Lyra was projecting gratitude, but something else too. A warmth that went beyond simple friendship. He sent back his own feelings, protectiveness, affection, and yes, the beginnings of something deeper. Whatever the council had intended, they'd created something they couldn't control. A partnership based on choice, respect, and genuine connection. Through the wall, he heard Lyra's quiet voice. "Good night, Marcus. Thank you for seeing me." "Good night, Lyra. Thank you for letting yourself be seen." As Marcus drifted off to sleep, he thought about the battles ahead. The legal fight would be hard. The social stigma would continue. But they'd face it together. Bonded in ways the council couldn't understand or break. They'd wanted to diminish Lyra, to make her less than she was. Instead, they'd given her a partner who helped her become more. And in helping her, Marcus had discovered capacities in himself he'd never imagined. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight they were safe, connected, and free in all the ways that mattered. The morning of their court hearing arrived 6 months later. Marcus adjusted his formal jacket while Lyra pinned up her hair, her shimmer creating an aurora effect in the mirror. Through their bond, he felt her nervousness mixing with determination. "Ready for this?" he asked. "As ready as anyone can be to challenge the entire Galactic Council system," she replied with a shaky smile. Janet met them outside the council court, a massive building at the heart of Station 7. She looked tired but optimistic. "The media has picked up the story," she informed them. "There are protesters outside, some supporting you, others not so much." They could hear the crowd before they saw it. Hundreds of beings held signs and chanted. Marcus spotted humans and aliens alike on both sides. One group held banners reading, "End heritage discrimination," while others shouted about maintaining genetic purity. "Keep your heads up and don't engage," Janet advised as security escorts guided them through. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. The 3-judge panel included representatives from different council species. Marcus recognized Judge Cetra, a Volani known for progressive rulings, but the other 2 were unknowns. Commander Threk sat at the prosecution table, looking confident. He'd brought a team of lawyers and what appeared to be medical experts. "All rise for the honorable judges," the bailiff announced. As everyone stood, Lyra's hand found Marcus's. Through their bond, they shared strength. The lead judge, a Krathari named Valix, spoke first. "We are here to examine the petition filed by Lyra Chen and Marcus Chen challenging the validity of their assigned marriage contract under the Heritage Integration Program. The council will present its case first." Threk stood, his 4 arms gesturing dramatically. "Honored judges, the Heritage Integration Program serves a vital purpose. It provides structure and stability for genetic hybrids who would otherwise be adrift in society. The contract between the defendants is legal, binding, and necessary for social order." He went on to present statistics about hybrid crime rates, unemployment, and social disruption. Marcus felt Lyra's anger through their bond, but she remained outwardly calm. "Furthermore," Threk continued, "we have evidence that the female defendant has used her alien abilities to manipulate and control the male defendant. Their so-called bond is nothing more than telepathic coercion." Janet jumped up. "Objection! That's a baseless accusation." "We have expert testimony," Threk countered, gesturing to his medical team. Judge Valix nodded. "We'll hear from your experts." The first expert, a Gorvani psychologist, testified about the dangers of Ashanti mental abilities. He claimed hybrids were unstable, prone to forcing bonds on unsuspecting humans. Marcus wanted to argue, but Janet had coached them to remain quiet during testimony. Through the bond, he sent Lyra waves of support and disbelief at the lies being presented as fact. When it was Janet's turn to cross-examine, she was ruthless. "Dr. Kren, have you ever actually studied a human Ashanti hybrid?" "Well, not directly, but have you ever met one before today?" "The literature clearly states, yes or no, doctor. Have you ever personally interacted with a human Ashanti hybrid?" The expert shifted uncomfortably. "No." So your entire testimony is based on theory and propaganda, not actual observation or data? I resent that characterization. No further questions. The prosecution brought 2 more experts, but Janet dismantled their testimony similarly. None had actual experience with hybrids, only prejudices dressed up as science. Finally, it was their turn. Janet called Marcus to the stand first. Mr. Chen, please describe your first meeting with Lyra. Marcus recounted that rainy night 6 months ago, the shock of having someone literally delivered to his door, labeled as property. What was your reaction to the contract? Disgust, Marcus said firmly. No person should be assigned to another like furniture. The whole system is wrong. The prosecution claims Lyra has controlled you through her abilities. How do you respond? Marcus looked directly at the judges. Lyra has never controlled me. Our bond was formed with full consent, after weeks of building trust and friendship. If anything, she held back her abilities out of fear of being rejected. The idea that she's some manipulative threat is not just wrong. It's insulting. Can you describe the bond for the court? Marcus thought carefully. It's like having a trusted partner who always has your back. We can share emotions and strength, but we maintain our individual selves. It's enhanced my life, not diminished it. I'm a better person because of our connection. Threk stood for cross-examination. Mr. Chen, you were a decorated soldier, yes? Strong-willed, trained to resist mental intrusion? Yes. Yet you claim this hybrid didn't influence your mind? How can you be sure? Because I know what coercion feels like, Marcus replied. I was trained to recognize and resist it. This isn't that. This is partnership. Partnership, Threk repeated mockingly. With a being you'd never met before she was delivered to your door? Sometimes the best connections come from unexpected circumstances, Marcus said. What started as an unjust situation became a genuine friendship and more. That's the human capacity to adapt and find connection, something the council seems to fear. Next, Janet called Lyra to testify. As she took the stand, her shimmer was steady despite Marcus feeling her nerves through the bond. Ms. Chen, please tell the court about your background. Lyra spoke about her parents' love story, how her human father and Ashanti mother had defied social pressure to be together. She described growing up between 2 worlds, never fully accepted by either. After my father died, I was alone. The council said the heritage program was my only option for survival. I was told I'd be cared for, but treated like cargo to be delivered. Can you explain your abilities to the court? I can sense emotions and form telepathic bonds with willing participants. These abilities aren't weapons or tools of control. They're how my mother's people communicate, how they build community. I've spent my life suppressing them because humans fear what they don't understand. Tell us about forming the bond with Marcus. Lyra's shimmer brightened. It was the first time I'd been able to fully express my nature without fear. Marcus accepted all of me, human and Ashanti. The bond we share is built on trust, respect, and genuine affection. It can't be forced or faked. During cross-examination, Threk tried to paint her as dangerous, but Lyra remained calm, answering each question with quiet dignity. Janet then called several surprise witnesses, other hybrids who had escaped the heritage program. Each told stories of abuse, isolation, and treatment as second-class citizens. The pattern was clear. The program wasn't about integration, but control. For their final witness, Janet called Dr. Miranda Walsh, a human xenobiologist who had actually studied Ashanti culture. Dr. Walsh, you've spent 30 years researching Ashanti bonds. Can they be used for mind control? Absolutely not, Dr. Walsh said firmly. Ashanti bonds require complete mutual consent. They're about connection, not control. The fear-mongering around their abilities is based on ignorance and prejudice, not science. What about human Ashanti hybrids specifically? They represent the best of both species. Human adaptability and emotional depth combined with Ashanti empathy and connection. Far from being dangerous, they could be bridges between different cultures, if we let them. In closing arguments, Threk painted a picture of chaos if the contract was overturned. If we allow hybrids to reject lawful contracts, ignore social structures, our entire system breaks down. The Heritage Program exists for everyone's protection. Janet's closing was passionate. The Heritage Program is a relic of fear and discrimination. It treats sentient beings as property, denies them basic rights, and perpetuates the lie that different means dangerous. Lyra and Marcus have shown us another way. Partnership based on choice, respect, and love. Yes, love, because that's what humans do. We find connection across differences. We elevate each other. That's not a threat to order. It's the foundation of a better future. The judges retired to deliberate. Hours passed. Marcus and Lyra waited in a small room, their bond humming with shared anxiety and hope. Finally, they were called back. The courtroom was packed now, media cameras ready to broadcast the decision across human space. Judge Valek stood. This case has forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about our society. The Heritage Integration Program, while perhaps well-intentioned, has become a tool of oppression. Marcus felt Lyra's hope spike through their bond. We find the contract between Lyra and Marcus Chen to be invalid on grounds of discrimination, coercion, and violation of basic sentient rights. Furthermore, we recommend a full review of the Heritage Program itself. The courtroom erupted. Some cheered. Others shouted in anger. Through it all, Marcus and Lyra held each other, their combined shimmer bright enough to fill the room. But Valek's wasn't finished. Additionally, we formally recognize the Ashanti life bond between the petitioners as legally valid. Any attempt to interfere with this bond will be met with full legal consequences. Threk stood, scales dark with rage. This is a mistake. You're undermining the foundation of our society. No, Judge Setra spoke for the first time. We're expanding it, making room for all citizens, not just those who fit narrow definitions. Outside the courthouse, the crowd had grown. As Marcus and Lyra emerged with Janet, they were met with both celebration and protest. Reporters shouted questions. One pushed forward. Ms. Chen, what does this mean for other hybrids in the program? Lyra looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. She faced the cameras, her shimmer steady and bright. It means there's hope. The council told us we were lesser, that our mixed heritage made us dangerous or dirty. But we're not. We're bridges between worlds, capable of connections others can't imagine. This ruling shows that love and choice can triumph over fear and control. Mr. Chen, another reporter called. Do you have any regrets about challenging the system? My only regret is that it was necessary, Marcus replied. No one should need a court ruling to be treated as a person. But we've started something today. Change is coming. As they made their way through the crowd, other hybrids approached, some crying, others smiling, all thanking them for fighting. That evening, in their apartment, Marcus and Lyra finally had quiet to process what had happened. They sat on the balcony, looking out at the stars. We did it, Lyra said softly. We actually did it. We changed things, Marcus agreed. Not everything, not yet. But it's a start. Through their bond, emotions flowed freely. Relief, joy, exhaustion, and something else. Something that had been growing for months, but neither had voiced. Marcus, Lyra began, then stopped. I don't know how to say this without it sounding like the bond is influencing things. Just say it, he encouraged. I'll know the truth through our connection. I love you, she said simply. Not because of the contract, not because of the bond, not because you saved me. I love you because you're you, because you saw me when no one else would, because you fought beside me instead of for me. Marcus turned to face her fully. I love you too. Have for a while now. And you're right. It's not the bond. That just lets me feel how genuine it is. They kissed as the stars wheeled overhead, their shimmer creating patterns of light that danced across the walls. So what now? Lyra asked when they parted. We're free of the contract. You don't have to. Stop, Marcus interrupted gently. I'm exactly where I want to be, with who I want to be with. The question is, what do you want? Lyra's smile was radiant. I want to build a life with you, a real life, chosen freely. And I want to help others like me, show them they don't have to hide or accept less than they deserve. Then that's what we'll do, Marcus said, together. Over the following months, their apartment became a haven for other hybrids seeking help. Marcus used his engineering skills to renovate, creating meeting spaces and temporary shelters. Lyra coordinated legal aid and counseling services. The Heritage program didn't end overnight, but their case had created cracks in its foundation. More challenges followed, more victories. Other human hybrid pairs came forward, inspired by their example. 1 year after the court ruling, Marcus found Lyra in their shared office, working on documentation for another case. Her shimmer was bright, content. Through their bond, he felt her satisfaction at helping others find freedom. Busy? He asked. Always, she smiled. But I could take a break from my husband. They'd married properly 3 months ago, a ceremony that blended human and Ashanti traditions, attended by the growing community they'd built, not because they had to, but because they chose to. Marcus pulled her close. Any regrets about your dirty heritage? Never, Lyra said firmly. It's not dirty. It's beautiful, complex, challenging sometimes, but beautiful, just like us. As they kissed, their combined shimmer filled the room. Outside, Station 7 buzzed with life, humans and aliens working together, building something better than what came before. Change was slow, but it was happening. The council had tried to diminish and control. Instead, they'd created a catalyst for transformation. 2 people who refused to accept injustice, who found strength in each other, who proved that connection across difference wasn't just possible, but powerful. The stars continued their eternal dance, witnessing the small but significant victory of love over fear, choice over control, and the enduring human capacity to see potential friends where others saw only threats. In the end, that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not technology or military might, but the simple revolutionary act of choosing connection over division every single time.